Imagine living in a tiny house with your single mother, sharing everything from dreams to dinner plates. Now imagine turning that life into a multi-million-dollar empire. From the streets of Queens to the bright lights of Shark Tank, this is not just a story of success. This is the raw, real, relentless rise of Daymond John, the man who stitched his destiny with his own hands. You think you've heard rags to riches stories before? You haven't heard this one. Stay with me. Daymond John was born in Brooklyn, New York, and raised in the rough streets of Hollis, Queens. Life wasn't easy. His parents split up when he was just 10, and from that moment it was just him and his mom, fighting through poverty one bill at a time. They didn't have much. No fancy dinners, no vacations, no luxuries. But they had grit. They had love. And Daymond had something else. A fire inside him to build a better life. He struggled in school, especially with reading. Later, he'd discover he was dyslexic. But that didn't stop him. In fact, it made him sharper, more creative, and more determined. As a teenager, Daymond worked multiple jobs, waiter, delivery boy, anything to support his mother and keep the lights on. But deep down, he knew he was meant for more than just surviving. He wanted to create. In the early 90s, hip-hop wasn't just music, it was a movement. But the fashion industry, it didn't get it. There were no brands that represented the streets, the people, the culture. So Daymond decided to make his own. With no investors, no backing, and barely any money, he started sewing wool hats in his mother's living room. He and a few friends made 80 hats by hand. Then, Daymond walked out into the streets of Queens and sold them all in a single day. That day changed everything. He realized something powerful. If you solve a real problem and speak directly to your people, you don't need permission, just passion. From that point on, Daymond and his close friends, Keith, Carl, and Jay, turned the house into a mini factory. They made t-shirts, jerseys, sweatshirts, all branded with 3 bold letters: FUBU, for us, by us. At first, stores ignored them. No one wanted to stock their clothes, but Daymond wasn't waiting for the world to notice. He made it notice. He gave the clothes to local rappers, celebrities, even unpaid extras in music videos. Then, something crazy happened. LL Cool J, one of the biggest names in hip-hop, wore a FUBU hat in a Gap commercial. National television, millions watching, and suddenly, everyone was asking, "What's FUBU?" The brand exploded. Urban culture finally had clothing that represented it, and Daymond John was leading that revolution. FUBU went from homemade hustle to a global fashion empire, earning over $350 million at its peak. But even with all that success, Daymond didn't stop growing. And then came the moment that made him a household name. Shark Tank. As one of the original sharks, Daymond brought his street smarts, his no-nonsense honesty, and his deep understanding of what it means to start from nothing. He didn't just invest in businesses, he invested in people. People who reminded him of himself. Today, Daymond John is more than a fashion mogul. He's a best-selling author, a branding expert, a speaker, and an icon. But he never forgets where he came from. Because for him, success was never about money. It was about meaning. He says it best. The easiest thing to do is to blame others. The hardest thing is to look in the mirror and own it. That's where growth begins. So what do we learn from Daymond John? That you don't need to be born rich. You don't need perfect grades or connections or investors. You just need vision. You need hustle. And you need the courage to sow your own path, even if all you've got is a living room, a sewing machine, and a dream. The next time you feel stuck, broke, or forgotten, remember the kid from Queens who built $1 million brand one stitch at a time. Because greatness doesn't come from where you start. It comes from how far you're willing to go. If this story inspired you even a little, like, comment, and share it with someone who's on their own journey. And don't forget to subscribe for more real stories of real people who turned nothing into everything. Because you could be next.